All right, guys, we are going to move on to our next unit in history, which is the Mesoamerican Indians. So you will have a packet like this. It's somewhat similar to our previous packet, but there are some differences, so I want to point those out. When we get into these units where it's more of a story of a specific time period or people, it's going to look different than our geography units. All right, so one thing that you should be doing, and this, if you were here in person, this would be assigned as homework, is reading the chapter or chapters that are being covered within the lesson. So our first day of Mesoamerican Indians is going to be on the Maya. So that's chapters 1 and 2 in our Mesoamerican Indians textbook. All right. So you're going to want to read those chapters and then go through and click through the slides. Now, the way I'm going to have history set up pretty much for the rest of the quarter is you will see slides from what would have been our lecture here in person. And then you're also going to see notes that you need to take down, the terms, just like we did in the last unit, which was like longitude and latitude and Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, stuff like that, right? Those are things you're going to be writing down so that you can then put it in or study from it. Can't even think what I was trying to say there. Anyways, a few things to look at in the packet, just like the previous one. We have a vocabulary section. But then if you look to the next page where we would normally have terms or notes, it's set up slightly differently. This is supposed to look like something called Cornell notes. Maybe some of you are familiar with them, where you have the topics on one side and then an area to write the notes on the other side. All right, with these categories here, they're covering different things within the lecture. So you'll probably start off with a warm-up question, and you'll want to answer that there. And then we'll go to a slide that says Discovery in the Jungle, and you'll want to write what you want to do in those. You guys have a slight advantage because the slides you'll be getting will have already the bullet points in them, whereas if we were in person, it would just be the pictures. Because myself or Miss Dorsling or Mr. Jimenez would have the lecture notes that we'd read from that you guys are getting. And so what you want to do in each of these boxes is just write one bullet point down that something you learned or thought was interesting. And you can literally just copy down one of the bullet points that's on the page or paraphrase it, right? We're just trying to keep people paying attention as they go through. But then as you see in some of these boxes, there are bold words. These are our terms, and there will be separate definitions that I will try to put as clearly as possible within the pods. That's what we'll be studying when we take a quiz on this unit. This unit is short, so we'll only have a quiz. We won't have a test. All right. And so you'll be studying stuff like the Maya will be one of the terms you'll have to study for the quiz, or Poctopoc, or the Mayan calendar. Okay. And so that's how you're going to kind of fill that out. The final thing you'll see, I'm going to include this at the end of the pod, so these will require a little bit more work than normal, are study questions, okay? And so you can either answer those after you've read the chapters or after you've read the chapters and watched the presentation or, look through the slides, stuff like that. But just make sure you have those finished. You can either write them down within your packet, which the people that are here in person will do. That's a mouthful to say. But for you, they'll be also within the pods themselves. So you just would type it in there. But I would still recommend writing it in here so you can go back and reference it. Because once you submit the pod, you can't really see it again unless I send it back to you to show you. And so that's kind of it. So again, our things are read the chapter, click through the pod that has the slides with the information, take notes while going through that within the Cornell notes thing, right? When you see that a header like that within the slides, you're going to write at least one bullet point down. And then also the only other thing we're writing down are those terms. And then we have our study questions. So it sounds like a lot, but once you get into the rhythm of it, it's pretty fluid. Okay. Other than that, as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And that's about it for history. So this is how it'll look for both this unit and our next unit in this quarter, which is the Renaissance. And that'll be our last unit for the first quarter. So expect a second packet, another book, all that good stuff to complete for those units. All right, that's about it.